Hello everyone, welcome back to Optimize Evony. I wanted to do a quick update on two features that have been introduced in recent updates that I haven't talked about yet, just so I would let you guys know my thoughts on them and how you can kind of unlock these things. So first of all, as I'm sure some of you guys have noticed, there's additional Senate postings, so to speak. There's the leading senator, the ruling senator, and the honorary senator. So these all have their own different things to actually unlock them. It does seem like all of these basically are unlockable right away as long as you have Council of State level 8. Um, but they can be quite challenging. First of all, the level 8 is kind of nice because a lot of these things are kind of sat behind kind of a fairly big inhibition. So this one's victory column level 6, which requires 5 fully ascended generals. And then I think there's additional ones here, 24. And I think you basically need additional victory column levels, which is just really difficult to get that many generals fully ascended. It'll happen over time, but that's kind of a fairly big benefit for Bitcoiners right now. But these new ones, they're not based on ascending generals or doing anything like that, but instead they're based off of PvP, which I actually think is kind of a good idea. It helps, the people who are actually doing well to unlock things. I'll talk a little bit about what I don't like about it, but so the first one is all about server war. So this to unlock the first one, you basically need to win the server war and earn 540 million monarch scores once. So your server has to win, and you also individually need to have scored at least 540 million monarch scores. So that one should be, I mean, it's not going to be easy for everyone to unlock, right? But for uh, for servers that play SVS, 540 million is kind of the what you're looking to get anyways with to get the blood of Ares and stuff like that from the rewards. And so this one should be fairly achievable for for at least a decent population. Then basically it goes up from there. 700 million monarch scores, and you need to do it twice with also winning the server war each time. Uh, then this one's 1 billion. Uh, these are getting a little bit harder, right? You need to win and score 1 billion points 4 times to unlock this. And then the last one is 2 billion. I don't. I might have scored 2 billion points once, twice maybe, and that was, a pretty aggressive SVS, and quite frankly, I don't even know if we won. So, the winning part here is honestly, it's a good thing, right? Because otherwise, people would just splat to to get to 2 billion Monarch scores, and they wouldn't care if they were losing the SVS for their team or not. But it is going to make this very difficult to achieve. And even for servers that win frequently, I mean, you have to do this 6 times. That's not going to happen overnight. This is not something that you can coin your way to immediately. I mean, obviously, if you have a heavily coined account, this might be easier than if you're a free to play player. But this is going to be fairly difficult for everyone. And so fairly similar to the other ones. You get buffs essentially. So just for unlocking it and putting in a 5-star ground general here, you get this first one, and then obviously the other ones follow as you ascend. And so I expect that fairly quickly most people will be able to unlock this first one, maybe even the second one, but these last two will take a little bit to unlock. And so um, it's not going to be a crazy amount of buffs, right? Like it's not going to be, I mean, if you can upgrade the positions and upgrade the promotions and stuff like that, maybe it'll benefit you fairly significantly early. But I mean, this just unlocking this, and if you're putting a 5-star, general in here, you're not getting crazy buffs. I mean, let's look really quickly at the promotions. I mean, it's great, but I mean, to get the first level, you basically need to unlock the first two. And even the second level, I think you only need to unlock the first two. But it of course gets super expensive with these jades that you need. So it's not trivial to unlock. Basically, this just gives coiners another output to use their things that they've been coining for. And so the second one is all about BOG, sorry, Battle of Guatemala, and you basically need 2,000 scores and the win, of course. They kept that from the other one. 6K 3 times with the win, all the way down to 18K 5 times with the win. And so I mean, I think this is going to be fairly challenging for a lot of people. I don't think the personal scores are hard. Like I think uh, I mean, granted, not everyone has an account as big as mine, but I fairly regularly, I would say, most most battles I'm scoring more than 18,000 points, and particularly if you're winning, you're probably scoring a decent amount of points here. The problem is the winning, right? Like winning 5 times, that might take a while, especially with getting the personal scores as well, particularly if you're a little bit smaller of an account. So yeah, this is going to be very matchup dependent, honestly. For my team, when we get matched against servers kind of in our age group, we do really well. When we get matched with super new servers that have been coining a lot more heavily recently, we tend to do pretty poorly. And so it'll be kind of the luck of the matchup for us. We are trying to work on that and get better where we can and stuff like that. But yeah, this one might be a little bit tricky for us as well. And then the honorary senator is basically the same thing, but for BOC. And one thing to note here is Battle of Toulon actually counted here. So some people probably have at least this first one open, and you're able to get these initial buffs here. And that goes all the way up to this final one, which is 30,000 points 5 times and winning. This one is, significantly harder. I think, if we can get the wins, I can pull this off, but I think a lot of people in my alliance would really struggle to get 30K personal scores, each time that we win. So they definitely have added a level of challenge here. Um, that is not just pure coining, right? Like, sure, I guess you can coin and you can heal and you can do all these things in battlefields, but it only matters if you're winning, right? So if you're coming out positive, sure, that's great. You can coin all you want, but you're you're not. This isn't like you're going to be able to spend 2 grand or something and immediately unlock these buffs. Once you unlock the qualifications, sure, coin away, do whatever you want. But I do kind of like them gating this behind the battlefields, SVS, BOGs. Like it's because to me that is the important part of this game. Like I don't building up your keep is really only to use in one of those things. Like killing bosses is great, but it's not really the main part of this game. Really, PvP is the focus here, and so you should be, you know, honoring and recognizing the people who do well with that to get better buffs. And this is actually something that's going to push people to win more, right? Um, and I think this is, yeah, like I said, I think this is a good change. I think, it's going to be very difficult for a bunch of alliances to actually do this, but I do actually like this a lot better. This prevents a little bit against point trading and stuff like that, uh, as opposed to their last change that was supposed to stop point trading, which was if you lose, you only get 60% of your personal scores, and your alliance only gets 60% of their scores, which actually, in my experience, has has made point trading happen more frequently because people need more points to qualify for things and stuff like that. So that's the new Senate stuff. That'll obviously, this next week will be the first SVS after they've launched that. So this will be a big SVS. People will be really trying to win, really trying to score well. So best of luck on that. Hopefully, people on your server don't drop bubble and go super negative and stuff like that. But yeah, uh, good luck unlocking all those things. I think it'll be kind of a fun little challenge to do. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the covenant. So general covenants. Um, People saw this come out before the update actually popped out. Um, but basically, these covenants are ways to increase the buffs more than you already are with specialties and stuff like that. And so essentially how it works right now, it's only open on three different generals. That's Napoleon Prime, the assistant guy. I think his name is Andre. I have him somewhere here. Yeah, Andre Masseña. He also has this open. And then the new Siege General that just came out has it open as well. But let's take a look at Napoleon Prime first, because this one, I actually have some of this unlocked. So basically, what you need to have is you need to have three of these generals, right? So you need to have for Napoleon Prime, you ironically need the old Napoleon, Andre, and Soult. And so once you have these three things, then you can start unlocking these covenants. And so each level, at least so far, has been 50 of these covenant stones. And so then once you have those three and you have 50 covenant stones, you can click establish covenant. The only thing there is that then it requires you to have the total attributes of these three and I believe the main general to be above a certain threshold. And so you'll need to level these generals, you'll need to cultivate them, you'll need to star them, things like that, to be able to actually unlock these buffs. But they are pretty good buffs. I mean, for example, March size capacity 5%, like for really not doing all that much, that's amazing. In rally mount troop HP, 8%. And so the other thing to note here is that you can see these ones have like the single one here. So that essentially means that these only apply when Napoleon is fighting. This means that Napoleon can either be leading the army or he can be the assistant. I mean, realistically, most people are going to have Napoleon leading, but even if he's the assistant, this will still apply. So people had questions on this. The covenant does apply for assistants. The other side of things is these ones where you can see that there's like kind of two little figurines or whatever there. These apply regardless of whether the specific general is in the battle or not. And you kind of make sense why, right? Like this is mount troop training speed, mount troop training capacity. So this applies, regardless of whether you're using Napoleon or not. The other ones, the ones that are attacking, only apply for him. Let's look at again the Andre. See his Covenant. It's kind of cool. He's got some monster debuff. So basically, yeah, you need Turin, Roland, and Bertrand, I think. Forget his name. But yeah, basically, you get those, you level them up and stuff like that, and then you can start unlocking these things. And you can see that Andre has a little bit more of the overall versions versus the ones that he has to be involved for. So this one he needs to be involved for, but you unlock his level 2, you get 15% march speed for all generals. And then even more important, I would say, is this one. Enemy range troop and siege machine attack debuff 5% for everyone all the time, right? Like, you know, when you're defending, when you're attacking, all the time here. So it's going to be interesting as they release more and more generals that have these apply. You might have some that you're using for debuffs. You might have some that you're using for training speeds and stuff like that. And then obviously your main generals you want to your main general and assistant you'll want to kind of buff up as well. Um, it is a little bit interesting, and I know exactly why Evany is doing this because we'll look at the new general that just came out. I did pick him up. This is John, whatever his name, John Hunyadi. Um, he also is the third general that has the Covenant open. I don't have all these people. So far, it seems like you can basically pick up these people in fairly inexpensively. I think there was maybe one general that one or two generals that were coined generals on the other ones, but these ones are all free generals, I believe. And then again, pretty important buffs here. And the reason why I picked up this guy is because of this skill right here, right? So I know I've talked about Siege Machine HP debuff being super important. My account is not super great at it, but I'm working on it. And you can see that this one, if you upgrade the Covenant to essentially level 4, you get 8% Siege Machine HP and Range Troop HP debuff for all your generals all the time. So that's kind of important. So essentially, I think what Evony is doing, obviously, Evony wants people to spend more money all the time. But in this case, I think what they're trying to do is make it so that essentially the old way of doing things, the best way to get after ascending came out was to the best way to be able to get enough fragments to ascend your general was to save up all of your general tokens for the general that you wanted to come out. Let's say, I mean, I essentially just did it with Napoleon Prime. Napoleon Prime is the best mount general in the game right now, and he was super worth it for me to cash in my general tokens to essentially guarantee that I got all essentially 16 copies that you need to fully ascend him. I ran out of blood, so he's not quite fully ascended yet, but he'll get there. The copies are the really hard part. And so essentially that was the old meta. But I think that meta is changing a little bit because you essentially are going to need to pick up these new generals to be able to one either unlock the covenant of a different general or unlock the covenant of this general to get debuffs to get different buffs. I mean, deserter capacity, even this is pretty nice to have if you have any kind of in-server PvP going on. Recently, I was rallied. Didn't go super positively for them, but I mean it. I used up all of my deserter capacity and stuff like that. So and those are essentially free troops to be able to heal. So that's kind of nice. And so essentially, what I think they're doing is they want you to be instead of keeping all of these general tokens, they want you to spend them every event for all the new generals that are coming out because you're going to need them for these covenants. And so it is going to essentially push the divide a little bit higher, but also allow the people who have these certain generals to slowly ascend. I mean, do these covenant things and increase their buffs. So I do think that it is important to get this new general for that debuff, John. I don't know if I don't he was promising for a second for me on him being a really good siege general because he actually has fairly decent stats. I believe his specialties are pretty good. I think the only problem is his scaling is not particularly good for attack. It's pretty decent for leadership and defense, but not super good for attack. And for an attacking general, you would want that to be closer to like nine range. Um, but yeah, so I picked him up. I'm gonna, work on his covenant eventually. Oh, the other thing is, how do you get the stones? So basically, they have now added them to the event pack. And for those of you that didn't see, you can essentially now choose the level of the event pack that you want to buy. So let's say you want to spend the top level, you can get this one. Otherwise, you can get the $5 one or whatever. The old way of doing that was essentially uh, clicking on resources or something like that, going like this. But it only worked if you had double down coupons, and so they're essentially allowing you to, once you run out of coupons, to not have to run the ladder and essentially waste money on that. It's yeah, I don't know. If you're spending that much money, you're already wasting money in my opinion. But the other way to do this is, and I think this is going to be kind of the go-to way overall, is the 50, 80, and 110 activity gives you covenant stones. So you can get up to um, so that's 3, and then this one is 4. So you can get up to 7 Covenant Stones a day, and so each one, takes 50. You can unlock it fairly quickly. I think the what's going to happen is that they're going to start adding more and more generals that you can do the covenant on, and you're gonna start conflicting on, oh, do I want to increase you know Napoleon Prime to this one, which doesn't really give you much, or do I want to do it, uh, on Andre or on John or on some new general that comes out because it gives me better buffs or gives me ambient buffs or whatever. And so eventually this is going to be essentially like ascending and like things where they seem to be rolling it out slowly, rolling it out with the new gens. Eventually, I expect them to essentially backport it to the older generals. And so keep all of your old generals. Don't sell your generals. If you are selling your generals, at least make sure that you keep one copy of the general in general fragments, so that you can essentially recreate it if it needs to be, because I actually I mean, it is important to be able to unlock these. And, I mean, let's say if I didn't get Andre or something like that, I would not be able to unlock any of these. And so you are going to need to I mean, you're going to want all the generals that you can. And so it's much better to do that than to, get the runes and gold and stuff like that. And in general, that's kind of my main thing that I would recommend is don't sell your generals ever unless they're in the tavern and you can get another copy of them. Even if they're in the tavern, that doesn't mean that you can get them super easily, but it does mean that you can get them without spending heavily. Um, so yeah, keep all your generals. I am curious how Evany is going to handle this because uh, right now you still only have 157, I mean, I think this goes up with VIP levels, but I don't think that anyone has more than like 200 general capacity. And so if you need all of these generals to be active at one time, because they need to be active, they need to be an actual general. They can't just be general fragments. Um, you're once they release this for all the generals, you're going to need more than, I mean, there's more than 150 generals in the game, I think. Uh, and that doesn't account for ones that you have multiple copies of, like, Baibars or Jindiak or whatever. And so, yeah, I'm curious how Evany's going to handle that one. But yeah, that's all I had for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think on that. And as always, thanks for watching and subscribe for more videos. Thanks.